This is the original podcast edition of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton, now part of the complete Pirates of Wefrevane series. The books are available as audiobooks, ebooks, and paperbacks. This podcast originally aired from 2010 to 2014. Stick around after the story for commentary from me, the author, more than a decade later. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, a novel of pirates and Panamindorah. Written and narrated by Abigail Hilton. Book 3, Ashes. Warning: this novel was intended for people who shop in the grown-up section of the bookstore. It is not intended for children or young teens. If you need to ask whether you will be offended, you probably will. Episode 10.
Hi, this is Tim Dodge, author of the podcast novel Acts of Desperation, about a guy who starts out trying to help his family and ends up way over his head in a swamp of drug dealers, murder, and revenge. I'm also the author of the podcast novel Purgatory. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll never think of Edgar Allan Poe the same way again. Find both of these novels at my website, timdodgestories.com, and at podiobooks.com. Previously on the Cowry Catchers podcast. Silvio's nightmares return, but this time Gerard shares them. He learns more than he ever wanted to know about Silvio's childhood. Silvio clearly desires a level of intimacy that makes Gerard uncomfortable, yet Gerard is unwilling to push Silvio away. The next morning, while Dakar and Silvio are in the cabin, Gerard attempts to remove the javelin head from Felbane's leg while the griffin is asleep. Felbane wakes, panics, and seizes Gerard's arm in his beak. Silvio emerges from the cabin, assesses the situation, and takes charge. For the first time since he lost his tongue, he acts like a leader, gives orders, and gets results. Silvio and Dakar both work to calm Felbane so that he releases Gerard. Then they remove the javelin head. Gerard apologizes, and Silvio responds with his old abrasiveness. He doesn't stay angry for long, but Gerard feels oddly reassured. The friend that he once knew seems to be returning.
Chapter 28. Confused. The weather grew steadily warmer, and the snow melted. The seal carcass rotted and began to stink. Gerard complained about it, and came out next morning to find it gone. Dakar told him she'd dragged it away. Gerard hadn't seen her in wyvern form since the day the seal arrived, although he knew she sometimes went swimming that way. She was shy of shifting where Gerard and Silvio could see. She clearly wanted to be treated as a shelt. Gerard could not decide whether that was healthy or not. Silvio thought it was funny that he would even worry about it.
Let her be what she wants to be, Gerard. She's got lots of choices.
But she is a dragon.
She's a shapeshifter.
And also a dragon.
Apparently all dragons are shapeshifters. Let her be. She's happy.
She was increasingly so. Spending time with Silvio had improved her understanding of humor, and she was responding more appropriately to sarcasm and irony.
She was raised in isolation,
said Silvio.
But she's a quick learner. All she needs is exposure. She's really a lot more normal than me.
Felbane was hunting again, and starting to put on weight. For all his grumbling, he followed Dakar's orders and swam every day in the ocean. To Gerard's amazement, Felbane also allowed her to milk the wound of pus. He was shy for the first few days, but, as his fever broke and his health improved, he became increasingly willing to do whatever Dakar asked. However, it was Silvio he really liked. His eyes followed the foxling everywhere when they were both in camp, and he would trail along behind Silvio when he ran on the beach or walked by the stream. At first, Silvio found it unnerving, and he didn't want to go out without Gerard or Dakar.
I can't help thinking he'd like to eat me.
But he wouldn't. I think you've got a pet griffin, Silvio.
Just what I needed.
He'll probably let you ride him.
Not a chance, Gerard.
Have you ever ridden a griffin?
What do you think?
Gerard was surprised, even though he knew he shouldn't be.
You've lived your whole life in Wefervain and you've never ridden a griffin?
I've ridden Pegasus when I had to. Flying is flying.
It's not. Griffins are a lot more maneuverable in the air.
So they can throw you off more easily. You're the avian, Gerard. I'm a land species.
When the snow had completely melted and the stream was running high, Gerard decided it was time for them to start walking. They tidied up the cabin before they left, cleaned the fireplace and fire pit, swept the floor, and even left a thank you note, scrawled in charcoal on a bit of wood, for anyone who might come to hunt or fish later that year. Then they started down the beach with their packs, and Felbane trailing along behind or gliding overhead. They had fly sheets made of skins, but they didn't use them that night. The sky was completely clear for the first time in a yellow month. Silvio and Gerard taught Dakar the names of all the constellations they could see. Silvio knew more of them, and some of the names he knew were different. He started telling Gerard how to navigate by them. They ate roasted fish and burned their fingers and laughed about it. Dakar was developing a cautious taste for cooked food. They hiked for days that way, sometimes on the beach and sometimes along the edge of the forest. Sometimes they passed streams where they could get water, and if not, they boiled rainwater that collected in the rocky puddles. Occasionally Felbane brought them rabbits or birds. Sometimes Gerard fished in the rivers, and sometimes Dakar fished in the sea. Twice they passed little hunty villages, the beaches around them littered with fishing boats. Dakar translated for everyone. The hunty told them that they were going in the right direction to reach Zorn, but they measured distance in units foreign to Gerard and Silvio. They didn't seem very friendly, or interested in trading. Gerard did manage to get them to take the javelin head in exchange for boots for Silvio, who promptly gave them to Dakar so she could run about more comfortably as a little girl. The woods smelled of spring. Silvio sniffed out wild mint, basil, onions, and mushrooms, which improved the quality of their meals. The trees were leafing and budding. A few early flowers dotted the meadows, bright green with new grass. Gerard felt more content than he'd felt since Thessaline died. Silvio seemed as happy as Gerard had ever seen him. He and Dakar made jewelry out of shells, and he showed her a number of elaborate ways to arrange her hair with nothing more than a few clean sticks. On sunny days he wore his hat with the red band and the iridescent feather, and he painstakingly trimmed Dakar's boots with feathers from birds that Felbane had caught. The weather was fitful. Some days were so warm that they all took off their coats, and on those days Dakar would run about as a little girl with just her shirt hanging down to her knees. Every now and then, she could not resist swimming all night as a wyvern, even though she knew she would have to walk the next day. Then sometimes Gerard would carry her in her little girl shape, and she'd sleep in his arms as they ambled down the beach. Silvio had no more nightmares, or even bad dreams, but he didn't seem anxious to leave Gerard's pallet. He'd taken Gerard's invitation to cuddle seriously, and he liked to sleep with his head on Gerard's chest and at least one arm around him. Gerard kept thinking that he ought to make Silvio try sleeping alone, but somehow he never got around to it, even when the weather got warm enough that Silvio started kicking off all the blankets again. Gerard knew they were getting near Zorn. He could tell by the angle of the coastline and the direction of the sun that they were nearing the tip of the peninsula. He hoped they had not missed the Defiance, although he was pretty sure that this was still early spring. Just when the weather seemed to be getting truly warm, they would have another day of gray skies and cold rain. However, these days were growing more rare. Gerard woke on one particularly warm night to find himself alone. They'd camped in some sand dunes. He couldn't see the ocean, but he could hear it not far away. He was actually sweating under his blankets. He removed one of the two shirts he'd been sleeping in and walked around a little. He wondered whether Dakar and Silvio had taken a walk together or separately. The night was clear, the moon's bright overhead. A bird sang beautifully, but loudly, in the underbrush. Felbane was almost certainly hunting, and Dakar could easily be well out to sea. On an impulse, Gerard dressed and walked towards the beach. He took his coat, because he knew the wind would be strong and probably cool beyond the lee of the dunes. Gerard came out onto the flat sand and saw 2 figures some distance away, in the place where the tide was running in and out. One was Silvio. Gerard took a moment to realize that the other was Dakar. She was trying out the form of a foxling, with ink-black hair and fur. She'd made herself about Silvio's height, which ought to make her an adult foxling, but her face and figure looked closer to her true age. Silvio was teaching her to dance. It was not the sort of dance that Thessalin or Gerard had ever learned. It was more the sort of dance that one was likely to see in the pleasure districts of Cern. They seemed to be enjoying themselves. Dakar was wearing the shirt she'd gone to bed in. Silvio was wearing nothing at all. Gerard realized that he hadn't seen Silvio without clothes in a long time, not since he'd been starving and sick. His fur was not only thick, but glossy, his skin ghost pale in the moonlight. His gleaming hair had grown down past his shoulder blades, and it whipped and tangled in the wind. He contrasted sharply with Dakar's black fur and hair, which, even from this distance, had the sheen of a raven's wing. Silvio twirled, then moved in a ripple that suggested he'd dislocated every bone in his body. Dakar cocked her head, copied it, added something of her own. Silvio laughed and did it again. They were disturbingly beautiful. Gerard sat down on a driftwood log and watched. After a while, Dakar stopped and said something that Gerard couldn't hear over the surf. Then she seemed to drop out of her shirt, as though for an instant her body were made of water. An iridescent flash amid the swells, and she was gone. Silvio waved, then bent and picked up her wet shirt before it went out with the tide. He came sauntering up the beach, wringing out her shirt and shaking the water from his tail. He did not look surprised to see Gerard.
I couldn't sleep. She wanted to do something.
Gerard said nothing. Silvio made a face.
I know, and I swore I'd never do those dances again after I left Cern, but they're what I can do.
Yes, but do you have to do them without clothes?
Well, that's how they're supposed to be done. Clothes get in the way. I should have bells, though. Bells on my tail and ankles and wrists. Am I making you uncomfortable, Gerard?
You're making me something.
Would you like me to make you a little more something?
I'd like you to put on some clothes.
Silvio sat down on the log beside Gerard, who promptly took off his coat and put it around Silvio. Silvio snickered.
Afraid I'll crawl into your lap, naked.
It had crossed my mind.
You're blushing, Gerard.
Gerard was losing patience.
I said you were pretty, didn't I?
Even to boys who don't like boys.
Yes, Silvio, stop trying to seduce me.
Silvio sighed and leaned against him.
Oh, I'm just a flirt, Gerard. I'm happy the way things are, but I'm terribly afraid you'll get bored. And you are fun to tease.
I don't get bored of my friends. I realize you've always delighted in teasing me, but I don't like feeling confused.
Silvio looked at him with a critical expression.
Am I being confusing? I thought I was being pretty obvious. Let me unconfuse you.
He took Gerard's hand, turned it over, and kissed his wrist. Gerard pulled away with a growl and stood up. He could feel Silvio's eyes on his back, and he didn't want to talk to him right now. He started towards the camp, hoping Silvio would stay on the beach.
Go dance. Get it out of your system.
But Silvio followed him back through the dunes. He watched Gerard get the fire going. It had been cold on the beach, but Gerard also found that he desperately wanted something to do. Silvio waited until Gerard had finished, and then sat down beside him on the ground, still wearing Gerard's coat like a cape.
I don't understand. I love you. I think you know that. And it doesn't seem to bother you. I'm not trying to manipulate you or control you or pay for anything, but I do want to give you something, and I don't have anything to give you except me. Why won't you let me?
Gerard buried his face in his hands.
How can I explain this?
Silvio thought for a moment. He drew his legs up and wrapped his tail around them, a sure sign that he was feeling less certain of himself.
Is it because I don't have a tongue? Is that too disgusting to...
Oh, Silvio, no.
Gerard put an arm around him.
No, that's not it.
I know I'm not as good as I used to be, but the slavers didn't actually do a very thorough job, and I can improvise.
Gerard gave him a shake.
Stop it. I don't think you're unattractive. You're just male.
Silvio frowned.
I really never understood why that makes any difference beyond technique unless you want kids. But maybe I just don't understand because of what happened to me. Maybe it's one of those things you have to be normal to understand. Gerard, I don't mean to annoy you. I'm not being like Marcella, am I?
Gerard almost laughed.
You're nothing at all like Marcella.
I just want to give you something. Anything. Would you let me try once? And if you don't like it, we won't do it again.
Gerard could feel himself going red.
Silvio, I wouldn't even know what to do.
Silvio smiled.
Is that all?
He took Gerard's hand and kissed his wrist again. Gerard could feel the nibble of teeth, along with the occasional caress of something soft and wet that was not lips. Silvio kept at it in a way that made Gerard feel as though all the blood in his body was rushing uncomfortably to one spot. When Gerard's breath caught, Silvio stopped, put his arms around Gerard's neck, and twisted so that he was straddling his lap. He leaned up on his knees, put his cheek against Gerard's, and laughed softly.
Your face is already on fire. I'm going to make you blush all over, Gerard.
Silvio?
But Gerard couldn't actually think of what he wanted to say. He felt as though his insides had turned to warm jelly. Silvio nuzzled under Gerard's chin. He managed to find the most sensitive spot on his throat and proceeded to pay it exquisite attention. Gerard heard himself whimper, and then he slid backwards onto his elbows. Silvio leaned into him, fingers busy in the buttons of his shirt.
Relax.
Silvio's happy murmur felt like a caress inside his head.
This isn't difficult, Gerard. This is the easiest thing in the world. Just relax.
Chapter 29. Closer Than Close. Half a watch later, they were lying in a pleasantly exhausted pile a little way from the fire. Gerard felt surreal. He was fairly certain that his brain had stopped functioning some time ago. Or perhaps it had split, with one part watching his behavior in horror, and the other part offering helpful suggestions and babbling away with his mouth. Silvio giggled.
You're so gentle. You're almost too gentle. Were you like this with Thessalyn?
Thess wasn't half my size, and she hadn't been hurt the way you have.
I'm more than half,
complained Silvio.
By height, barely. You can't be more than a quarter of my weight.
Whatever. You could be rougher without hurting me.
Do you want that?
I want to see what you like.
I was wondering what you like, because a conventional climax doesn't seem to be it.
Silvio laughed out loud.
Conventional. Never my adjective.
Gerard shifted him up a fraction so that Silvio's head was under his chin.
You seem to be giving a lot and not getting much. Am I doing something wrong?
Silvio sighed.
You're not doing anything wrong, Gerard. I could fake it. I'm pretty good at that. But I'd rather not with you.
Gerard stroked his hair.
Can you just not get really excited because of what happened to you?
I can. It takes a bit of work and the results aren't very satisfying. I enjoy it for a few seconds and then I have bad memories and nightmares for days. It's not worth those few seconds.
Gerard thought about what Marcella had done to him.
What if my first time had been like that? And what if it had happened again and again when I was a child and couldn't reason very well? It's amazing that Silvio can enjoy being close to anyone at all.
Gerard traced Silvio's spine, ran his fingertips along his back. Silvio sighed.
Basil really wanted me to enjoy a conventional climax. He seemed to take it as a personal affront that I couldn't. His ego was big enough. He felt like he should be able to give me that, and it made me miserable. I'll try for you if you like, but I know how this goes.
Gerard shook his head. He ran both hands down Silvio's back, through the dense, silky fur of his flanks, and up his sides.
You like this, though?
Silvio pushed himself up so that he could look Gerard in the face. His eyes were nearly black in the moonlight, the irises only a glint of blue.
I love this. I've never been so happy, Gerard. Please believe that.
I believe you.
He hesitated.
But if cuddle is what you really want, can we just do that? You're very good at what you do, but it makes me feel so strange.
Silvio smiled. He laid his face against Gerard's cheek.
I'll be whatever you want, Gerard. I'll try.
Gerard took Silvio's face in both hands and moved him back so that he could look at him again.
I think you have a hard time believing that anyone would want to be near you for any reason other than sex.
Silvio bowed his head.
I do. You don't have to buy me. You couldn't.
Silvio settled back down against his chest. They were quiet for a while. Finally, Gerard said,
I miss this so much.
I know. You said her name once.
I did.
Gerard was a whole new kind of embarrassed. Silvio nodded.
I didn't know whether you realized. Don't feel bad, I'm flattered. I don't deserve the comparison.
No, you don't. You deserve to be loved for yourself.
I'd bring her back if I could. If you could just trade her for me.
Stop that.
Gerard spoke more sharply than he had intended.
It's a ridiculous thing to think.
I worry that I'm just taking advantage of your missing her. I thought perhaps tonight you were more starved than hungry.
Gerard laughed.
Silvio, when I said you're good at what you do, I was understating.
He sat up a little.
And before we call this a failed experiment, I want to do one more thing.
Oh?
Silvio looked down at him with a hint of mischief and twitched his tail. Gerard turned so that Silvio slithered off into the blankets. Gerard leaned over him, put one hand behind Silvio's head, and kissed him.
Open your mouth, Silvio.
Silvio squirmed a little at the kiss, and now he went rigid. He'd kissed Gerard just about everywhere except on the mouth, and Gerard thought he knew why.
Gerard, no. Please.
You're all right. You're safe. Trust me.
Silvio trembled.
Ugly. Disgusting.
Nothing about you is ugly or disgusting.
Gerard moved his hand down Silvio's neck, over his shoulder, and along his side to his hip, so that it didn't feel like Gerard was trying to force anything. He ran his thumb in circles on Silvio's belly.
You said it yourself. This isn't difficult. Relax.
He did, very slowly. When his breathing had quieted, Gerard teased his lips apart and finally his teeth. He didn't push. He let Silvio decide to do it. Finally, Gerard eased his tongue inside and explored gently. As Silvio had said, the slavers had not done a good job. They'd left about a third of his tongue. Gerard traced the pebbled surface of the old wound, felt Silvio flinch.
It's all right. I'm not disgusted.
Gerard stopped exploring then and really kissed him. Silvio caught his breath. He reached a hand up to bury it in Gerard's hair, arched his back, and pressed the length of their bodies together. Silvio broke away a moment later, panting.
Well, that almost did it. Gods, Gerard, be still a moment.
Gerard considered reaching down and finishing what he'd started.
But that would make me a lot like Basil.
They were quiet for a while, and then Silvio said,
All right, you can move now.
He settled into the crook of Gerard's arm and pulled a blanket over them. Just before they drifted off, Silvio said,
Are you going to regret this in the morning?
Probably.
Enough to hit me?
Gerard woke up a little.
Never enough to hit you, Silvio.
He turned on his side and wrapped himself around the foxling.
You're safe. You couldn't be safer. Go to sleep.
Silvio gave a little sigh of perfect contentment. He snuggled against Gerard, tried to get closer than close. Gerard fell asleep with Silvio's downy fur like a whisper of velvet against his belly, his breath a soft sigh across Gerard's chest. Chapter 30. Differences. Gerard woke from deep sleep to loud birdsong. He was lying on his side, his head under a blanket, and he could tell the blankets were cool with light frost. He felt more relaxed and rested than he had in ages.
What happened yesterday?
Silvio stirred against him. He was pleasantly warm, his head on Gerard's arm, his soft fur against Gerard's belly. Gerard realized suddenly that neither of them were wearing anything.
Oh.
Gerard screwed up his face as last night came back with crystal clarity.
Oh, God.
Silvio opened his eyes. He looked up at Gerard in the softly lit world under the blankets. He blinked a couple of times, saw Gerard watching him, and his face became suddenly worried. His body tensed.
Gerard, are you angry?
Gerard groaned and sat up. The day was clear and cool, with the bright sun burning off the frost. They were alone in camp. His muscles actually felt a little stiff.
Oh, mercy. What have I done?
Silvio crawled out of the blankets. He pulled on his shirt and crouched with his tail wrapped protectively around him. He really did look nervous. Gerard ran a hand through his hair.
I'm not angry, Silvio, not at you.
Silvio did not look entirely reassured. Gerard grimaced.
If I can do what I did last night, I can certainly put an arm around you this morning. Silvio, come here.
He stood and came hesitantly. Gerard drew Silvio down beside him.
I'm not angry at you. I'm a little angry at myself and very confused.
Silvio nodded, watching his face.
You seemed happy last night.
I was happy last night. I woke up happy this morning.
Gerard buried his head in his hands.
This is not a situation I ever expected to find myself in. Silvio, when you look at me like you're afraid, it makes me feel horrible. Do I do anything that makes you feel threatened? Because no matter how unhappy I am with my own behavior, I won't hurt you.
Silvio wrinkled his nose. He straightened a little.
Which story shall I tell? How about this one? A group of Shelts came into our place once. One of them was just along with his friends, said he didn't like kids, especially didn't like boys. But all his friends got busy and the master wanted his money, so I got him drunk and flirted, and finally I got him into bed. The next morning, well, he didn't try to get his money back, but on his way out, he spotted me. He grabbed me by the tail and flung me across the room. I limped for a month.
Gerard put an arm around him. Silvio shrugged it off.
I'm not trying to make you feel sorry for me. I'm just saying. You're not the first boy who didn't like boys who liked me, and you won't be the first who was angry about it in the morning.
Gerard sighed.
I'm not angry.
Silvio glanced at him out of the corner of his eye. His mouth twitched up.
I could count the times on one hand I've heard a Grishnard purr, Gerard.
Gerard wanted the ground to open up and swallow him. Silvio touched his shoulder, and Gerard looked down at him. Pale skin and blue eyes and freckles.
I'm already in your head. If that's not intimate contact, I don't know what is.
Gerard said nothing. Silvio laid his head against Gerard's arm.
Are you sorry you kissed me?
Gerard thought about it.
No, I'm not sorry about that.
Good, because it was certainly the nicest thing anyone's ever done to me.
He watched Gerard's face.
Please don't be embarrassed. It's just me.
Gerard sighed and got up.
But it's really not me, and I don't think it's very good for you. I think you need at least one friend who doesn't want to take advantage of your specialized skill set.
Silvio shrugged.
Dakar doesn't seem too interested.
Dakar is about 10.
I was joking, Gerard. You didn't take advantage of me. Like you said, cuddle is all I really needed.
He grinned.
But just once, I made you whimper.
Gerard could feel himself going red.
I wouldn't take that back for anything. And what I was saying last night, what I meant with every kiss was, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Gerard didn't know how to respond to that. A moment later, a small black wyvern shot over the dunes, flying so low that Gerard ducked. She was followed a moment later by Felbane. Gerard wondered for one moment whether Felbane was trying to kill her, but then he heard Dakar laugh. They darted back and forth over the trees, nimble as dragonflies, and were gone. Silvio grinned.
They're finally playing tag. Dakar's been trying to get him to interact with her in the air for months. She's land, sea, and sky, you know. She gets a little bored with us.
Gerard began putting away their blankets.
We're raising Morchella's daughter, aren't we?
Did that just now occur to you?
This is not how I planned on being a parent.
Well, we don't always get what we plan on. Almost never, actually. What did I say a long time ago? Fess can teach her to sing, you can teach her to use a sword, and I'll teach her to curse and wear inappropriate clothing.
Gerard smiled. He felt a little better.
We're still us. Last night didn't change anything. Maybe we just needed to put the possibility behind us. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe we can forget about it.
Silvio certainly acted like his usual perky, sarcastic self as they started up the beach. Gerard was carrying Dakar's pack as well as his own, because she was still playing tag with Felbane, occasionally passing low over their heads. The sea was aquamarine and very calm. Strange blue jellyfish had washed up on the white sand. They were like blocks of glistening colored ice, catching the light like prisms. Finally, Gerard screwed up his courage to ask,
Silvio, when you were with Lou, were you happier? Could you...
Silvio laughed out loud. Gerard wished he hadn't asked.
Gerard, there's more than one way to make a girl happy. And besides, you and Lou are Felids. I'm a Canid. We're different.
Gerard reddened.
I sort of figured that.
In the brothel, we used to get the occasional idiot who knew so little of foxlings that he would ask the master whether I was deformed. Even the ones who knew we have different anatomy seemed to think we were just little Grishnards. We're not.
Oh?
Gerard was curious in spite of himself, and embarrassed for being curious.
For the love of all that's holy, if Felids weren't comparatively smaller than Canids, I don't know how I'd be able to do half of what I do without getting hurt.
Gerard wasn't sure what he was talking about, and didn't dare ask. Silvio patted his leg.
Gerard, I don't know how you manage to father children. You're practically innocent. I didn't use anywhere near my full repertoire last night. I didn't want to startle you.
Gerard tried desperately to think of a way to change the subject.
Foxlings tie,
continued Silvio patiently.
And I can't tell you more than that, because I haven't been with any female foxlings. Even drunk, I'm pretty sure I'd remember that.
Tie?
Tie, lock, cannot separate for, I've heard, up to a quarter watch. That's another thing about us. We're supposed to have one long climax, and then we don't mate for a while. Grishnards, on the other hand, can mate over and over for half the night, and they have to if they want to get pregnant. I'm told there's something like 100 matings per child.
Gerard made a face.
Usually.
Your first kid defied the rules.
Gerard nodded.
And she came out of season. We weren't completely stupid, but sometimes odd things happen.
He hesitated.
If I were Gwaine, I'd be writing all this down. He's terribly interested in biology and Schelt differences, and he's about as unembarrassable as you are.
If you were Gwaine, you'd have drowned me a long time ago.
Gerard shook his head.
Are foxlings the only Schelts that tie?
Silvio shrugged.
I'm pretty sure it's a Canid thing. We're just the only Canid Schelts left in Weffervane. Wolflings probably did it, but they're extinct. Hunty... I don't think Hunty are proper Canids, and they rarely mate outside their species, thank the gods. They're odd in every conceivable way, but I don't think they tie. One of the Oslons in the place where I worked claimed to have done a Hunty once, and from what she said, I'd say no.
Gerard knew he shouldn't ask, but...
So, Hunty really do all look the same?
Silvio giggled.
If what I did last night makes you feel confused, be glad you're not a Hunty. They all have penises, and when they mate, the females sort of retracts or turns inside out or something. About half the girls die the first time they give birth, because the baby has to tear through their sheath. Either they can't push it out, or they bleed to death. Sometimes the midwives cut them, but it's considered an act of weakness and permanent disgrace. Most would rather die. Usually the first child is stillborn, even if the mother survives. Gerard, you look really silly with your mouth hanging open.
Gerard shut his mouth.
How do you know all this?
Basil. He was raised by Hunty.
Oh.
Suddenly, many things about Basil made a lot more sense to Gerard.
How did that happen?
Silvio thought for a moment.
I've only heard the story once, and it was years ago. I believe his family were peasants on one of the little numeraries of Haplag. Small, poor place. Haplag got into a tiff with Lecklock, and there was some raiding. Small scale by the standards of the Great Islands, but they burned that little numerary to the ground. Killed everyone. Except, I guess Basil was about 4, and he hid. A few days later, a hunty merchant ship came sniffing around for anything they could scavenge and found him hungry and dirty and miserable. They took him aboard as a cabin boy, and he was basically raised by the crew. He doesn't remember any of this. He was told later.
Poor kid.
Yeah, I think he was kind of a lonely kid. Hunty are really different, and he understands them, but he can never be one. He has a love-hate relationship with Grishnards. They're his species, and it's useful to be one in Wefervain, but he doesn't like most of them. He identifies with non-Grishnard Panons like me, who end up in the gutter. Someone like you, coming from an upper-class background.
He can't stand.
Silvio nodded.
He still likes to crew his ships with Hunty. They're tough as old leather, and he says they make excellent sailors if you take the trouble to understand them. They will insist on carrying on their normal pack behavior, though, which includes having babies. We had a few on the Dark Wind every year. Kept it quiet, because the idea of females aboard ship bothered the Grishnard sailors.
Silvio gave Gerard a thump on the back with his tail.
Grishnards think that just because they're the dominant species in Wefervain, everyone is just like them. It's not so. Shelts are all different. Male ocelons have little spines on there. That's a major ouch if you're not careful.
Spines?
Gerard was horrified. Silvio nodded.
I think Grishnards are the only felids who don't have them. Comes from the avian in you, maybe. There's an easy way to prove you're not a Leon if anyone asks about that tattoo.
If Gerard had harbored any hope of becoming immune to embarrassment, it was instantly dispelled.
Most felids can get pregnant any time of the year, too, and the spines have something to do with it. I'm not a healer, so I don't know what, but I know that felid eunuchs lose them.
Silvio grinned.
Oh, here comes Dakar on 2 legs again. Shall I stop making you turn pretty colors?
Well, that would be nice of you.
And we both know I'm the very soul of niceness.
You're an utter rascal.
Happy to be your rascal.
I'm still more comfortable with a friend.
Silvio shrugged.
I'll be whatever you want me to be, if you let me stay around. You can just feed me table scraps and keep me in your desk drawer.
I'll keep that in mind when I have a desk again.
You will. Shelts put you in charge of things. You've got king written all over you.
Gerard sighed.
I stopped wanting to be king a long time ago. All I want to be now is a sailor. Just a regular sailor on a regular ship somewhere far away from Wefervain.
You have been listening to The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton. Copyright Abigail Hilton. Cowry Catchers is an illustrated podcast. Artwork for this episode was created by Sarah Cloutier. To view these illustrations and to learn more about this world and its author, visit the website at www.cowrycatchers.com. This podcast included the vocal talents of
Nathan Lowell
as Gerard,
Norm Sherman,
as Silvio,
R.E. Chambliss,
as Dakar. Sound effects for this podcast were provided by SoundSnap, the Free Sound Project, and Sound Dogs. The intro music for this podcast was Grace by Beth Quist. The outro music is Everywhere, also by Beth Quist. Both were licensed with permission from Magnatune.net. Music for Book 3 of Cowry Catchers included selections from Digital Juice at digitaljuice.com and Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. It also included additional music from Beth Quist, Diana Rowan, and Jamie Saber, all from Magnatune.net. All music was licensed and used according to the terms of the websites. This is a standard copyright now. This podcast is provided for your personal enjoyment only. You can download and archive the episodes for your personal use. You may not re-upload, mirror, or publicly redistribute the audio files, nor can you alter, remix, or create derivative works. I hope you enjoyed the story.
straight on and straight on and straight on till river when I find her.
And I'm back. This is 2025 Abby, coming to you with some thoughts on the episode. So Tim Dodge, who introduced this episode, he is Felbane's voice actor, and as far as I could tell, he has not written any other books except for the ones that he mentions in the opening here, but it looks to me like you can still get them, so if that is interesting to you, check them out. As far as the episode, obviously this is a pivotal event in the romance arc of the story. I do feel like I've gotten better at writing sex in the many years since I wrote this. I didn't actually write the sex. I chose to make the kiss detailed and not really make the sex very detailed, or basically make a fade to black on the sex, which is probably the right decision there. Obviously, these characters are overcoming abuse. Neither one of them has a lot of healthy role models. Re-listening to it now, I feel like Silvio is way too pushy in that scene. But I also don't feel like it's out of character or surprising, given the character's background. And Gerard has a lot of hang-ups that were passed to him from his father that he doesn't really understand. And I actually did quite a bit of backstory on Michelle in a future book. I believe it's Jager Thunder, where we really get his backstory in some detail. But me, the author, was raised in a highly repressive, extremely prudish environment. And listening to the episode now, I feel like I almost should have made their world more prudish to explain the way these characters are behaving. I feel like the culture I set up for them does not fully explain their behavior in this scene, and particularly Gerard's behavior seems more repressed than one would expect given the world that I've described here. Anyway, I like the way I made the music work in here. I have always been fascinated with the enormous variety of reproductive strategies in the animal kingdom, and I got to kind of showcase some of that here. I've heard from readers over the years that are absolutely flummoxed and hate the fact that I bring in all of these different reproductive strategies. Hyenas are wonderfully complicated in real life. Nothing I describe here is made up. This is all real biology of actual animals, including the thing where hyenas have to mate through a pseudopenis and give birth through it, which is just insane. And then, of course, spines on many, many mammalian penises, but certainly feline mammalian penises. Anyway, the natural world. It's fascinating, has an enormous amount of variety, and is also extremely queer. More than many people realize. Anyway, I hope you are enjoying the story, and I will see you in the next episode. This is Abigail Hilton, and you have been listening to the Pirates of Wefravain saga. Join me on Patreon for early episodes, long-form interviews, forum access, personal updates, and lots of artwork, including maps and species charts. That's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. If you want the whole story now with no interruptions and some remastering of the early books for sound quality, you can find the entire series at shop.abigailhilton.com, along with all my other novels. The audiobooks are delivered by BookFunnel. Background music was Hidden Sky by Jamie Sieber, licensed from Magnatune.net circa 2014. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers podcast is an audio adaptation of the Pirates of Wefravain saga, written and produced by Abigail Hilton. Original production copyright 2010, all rights are reserved to the author.